Hi, my name is Jake, and I am a bookish drummer. So for this video, I'm going to be discussing all of my unread thriller and horror books. And the reason I'm going to be talking about this is because it's definitely a main goal of mine to try to get through as many of these as possible, because I don't know if you can tell, but Stacy is starting to slowly steal room on the shelves here and take over. Obviously, I'm not a big Red Rising fan. Like, those are her books. And, to try to make more room for her, because, obviously my books take up a lot of room, I'm going to try to get through as many thriller and horror books, because a lot of the times, those are kind of like one and done. If I don't absolutely love them, they're easy books to unhaul. Like, if I give it like 3 or 4 stars and I know I'm never going to reread it ever again, it's definitely a good book to unhaul. So getting through a lot of these will hopefully create more room for her to put more books on the shelves, get some of her favorites up here. And yeah, that's essentially what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be talking about all of my unread thriller and horror books that I need to read. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. And I have a lot to talk about, so I'm not going to go into super detail over all of them. I'm going to quickly mention them, and if I have, some stuff to say, I will, obviously. The first one I'll mention here is The Boatmore Butcher by L. Stevenson. This one I'm super excited about because I've actually read his first little horror novella called The Goners. I read that either, was it last year, or maybe 2 years ago, or maybe even 3 years, I don't know. But he wrote this really cool horror novella called The Goners. It was super creepy, really gory. It was a lot of fun. So now we're getting that and 2, additional, I think it's 2 novellas or whatever, but I'm very excited to check this out because I really liked The Goners. So to get like a full novel-length story from that is going to be a lot of fun. And then I also have The Housemaid's Secret by Frida McFadden, which of course is the sequel to The Housemaid, which if you've seen my top 10 videos or top 10 books of 2023, you know that was one of my favorite thrillers that I read last year. So getting the sequel, I've heard it's not quite as good, so we'll see if I like it as much as the first one. Who knows? And then we actually have a Thrill, Chill, or Kill book club. I think it's for March, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure. But it's All the Missing Girls by Megan Miranda. And she has a lot of books, and I think this is one of her most popular books, if not her most popular. It's supposed to be told in kind of a weird, like, backwards thing, like Memento, if you've ever seen that movie. So it'll be an interesting thriller to read. Definitely looking forward to it. And then I have a book I'm going to read soon because, even if I love it, like, I don't love hardcovers anyway, so I'm going to read Last Girl Ghosted by Lisa Unger. Never read a Lisa Unger book in my life. It's just a random thriller. If I like it, good. If I don't, oh well. All right, let me get these damn books off the shelf here. Give me a moment. This is, this is a very large stack. I'm probably going to move it, but maybe I could get a thumbnail out of it here. This is probably a bad idea. Let's consolidate this here. Okay, that's much more reasonable. These are just a couple of Sarah Pinborough paperbacks. They're both they're both horror books. They were written long before her most famous book was published. But behind her eyes, yeah, that one I really liked. And these ones are supposed to be more horror. I'll get to them eventually. And then we have two Robert Jackson Bennett books. He's more famous for fantasy, but before Foundry Side and the City of Stairs stuff, he wrote, I think, more horror thriller books. So yeah, we have The Troop and we have The Company Man. Don't really know much about them, but they're kind of thick, so if I could get to them this year, that would definitely save a lot of room. We have a random thriller, She Was the Quiet One by Michelle Campbell. A random book that I think I got it in Canada at Barely Used Books near Stacy's house and where she lives. But yeah, random thriller, don't know anything about it. I'll probably try it and unhaul it unless I absolutely love it. We have The Patient, which I just got recently. I've heard a lot of great things about this. Maybe like a medical thriller, medical horror. I don't really know, but it's very short. It's like 200 pages, so I could probably fly through that really quickly. Then we have two books by the same author I never really heard of. We have The Girl Before and With You Always by Renee Olson. I mainly bought these because of the interesting covers. Like this one's kind of like stripy, and this one's got like weird circle ridges. Again, don't really know anything about them. Also, for any of these books, please let me know if you've read them and what you thought about them, and if they're even worth my time reading. That would be very helpful. And then we have The Trespasser by Tana French. I think this is actually in a series, but I think in this series you can kind of read books like interchangeably, like you don't have to read them in order. I've heard the series is pretty good. I think I got this from like a blind date with the book where I bought it for like $5, not really knowing what it was, and then I unwrapped it and found out it was this. I'll get to it eventually. Not a huge priority. Then we have Just Like Home by Sarah Galley, whatever. I don't know if this is supposed to be YA or not. I don't know. I really don't like the cover. I really don't like that color, but I've heard it. Oh yeah, she also wrote The Echo Wife. That's what made me kind of, I don't know, sus about reading this, because I heard really bad things about The Echo Wife, but hopefully this one's better. I don't know. And then we have a book that I tried to read years and years ago and couldn't get into, but I found a used copy and I thought maybe I could give it another chance. Our Kind of Cruelty by Arminta Hall, right? Arminta Hall. I think it's supposed to be kind of like a stalker book. It's kind of like similar vibes of Joe Goldberg, like You, Caroline Kepnes. I remember not really liking the writing style, but maybe I could get back into it and see if I like it or not. If not, it's an easy unhaul. This one, I actually don't know if it's a thriller or not. It might just be a fiction book, but I just put it on here because there was room. It's The Mars Room by Rachel Kushner. I think this one takes place in a woman's prison, maybe. If anyone's read it, I'm very curious to see what you think, because I've not really heard many people talk about this one, so it'll be one that I'll try to get to this year. Maybe I'll love it, maybe I won't. I don't know. This one's actually Stacy's book, and this is probably one we'll read closer together because she's excited about this one. It's called The Burning Girls by CJ Tudor. I don't really know too much about it. It's definitely a horror book. It's by the same guy who wrote The Chalk Man. Or woman. I don't know. I don't really know anything about it. I think it might have something to do with witches, maybe? Or maybe exorcism. I don't know, but it'll be read by one of us, or both. This book I'm pretty excited about because I love the movie, and it's always interesting to go back and read the book after you've watched the movie. A lot of people like to do it the other way, but I could do it interchangeably. That'd be Shutter Island by Dennis Lehane. He's written a lot of books, but this is probably one of his more well-known books, I think. Shutter Island, fantastic movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, and I'm wondering how similar the book is, or how similar the movie is to the book. You get the idea. And we're trucking along here. Another random thriller. I think I got this one at Second and Charles. How It Happened by Michael Cortia, I don't know. Again, I probably read the synopsis when I first bought it, but I don't remember, so it'll be a random thriller that at some point I will jump in not knowing anything about, and we'll see if I like it. We also have The Secret History by Donna Tartt, which again, I don't really know. This might be more of a fiction book, but I think it probably has some thriller vibes to it. This one, I don't know if I'll get to. It's kind of long, and I actually tried The Goldfinch, which is another book by this author. I DNF'd that one. I thought it was kind of too long, and but maybe this one will be more interesting. Who knows? I also have Brother by Anaya Alborn. This is supposed to be a pretty good horror book. Again, don't know too much about it, but I really like that cover. It's very ominous with just like a lock on a door, so we'll see. And then we have a book I'm actually pretty excited about because I've read a few books by this author that I've really enjoyed. That would be Anathema by Nick Roberts. He wrote The Exorcist House, which I really liked, and then I actually just read his short story collection, It Haunts the Mind, which I also really enjoyed as well. And this is another horror novel by him, so very much looking forward to reading that. And then I have a newly acquired book, which is Hellwig's Keep by Justin Holly. This came recommended to me from a booktuber that I just recently started watching. I think it's Mindy. I think her channel name is Mindy's Book Journey or Mindy's Journey, something like that. She read this book, gave it 5 stars, and basically said that she really liked it, even though a lot of people didn't, and it has a really low Goodreads rating. But I tend to like horror books that have bad Goodreads ratings, so I'm definitely looking forward to checking out this sci-fi horror book. And then we have The Girl Before by J.P. Delaney. I read another book by this author. It was really good. I did enjoy it. I think I had a little bit of problems with the ending, but it was pretty well written and I really enjoyed it. This one I don't really know too much about, but I'm not gonna read everything they write, but if I read this one and continue to like them, they could be an author that I read a lot of their stuff by. This next one I'm sure will be very weird when I get to it, and I tend to like weird horror, so we will try Bunny by Mona Awad. And this one I know will be weird because a lot of people that have reviewed it says it's weird. So, and again, I don't really know anything about it. It's just basically a cover by and people saying that it's weird. So I'm sure I'll like it. And then I have one of Stacy's books. This is one of her all-time favorites. She's actually read it. I've tried to read it before, and I just don't think I was in the mood for such like a depressing book. And that would be 3 Hours by Rosamund Lupton. This one takes place during like a school shooting. I think at the time I wasn't really wanting to read that kind of book, but eventually I'll get to it. And this will probably be kept by us anyway because it's one of her favorites. So there's that. Another horror book that I really want to check out is Black Mouth by Ronald Malfi. This is supposed to have similar vibes to It by Stephen King, where you got like a group of characters coming back to the small town to try to defeat this whatever. And it's also a lot less shorter than It, so hopefully I will like it more. But we'll see. It all depends on characters and atmosphere and the scares. We'll see. I'm very much interested in checking this out. We also have Intercepts by T.G. Payne. This one has a very interesting premise. It kind of gives me like Dean Koontz vibes, even though I don't really read Dean Koontz that much or at all anymore. Actually, it's got a similar vibe of like government experimentation and things going wrong. So I kind of do like those kind of stories. So hopefully this is kind of a fresh take on that. I also have Near the Bone by Christina Henry. This one definitely sounds like a wintry vibe of like an isolated setting in the mountains, like maybe in a cabin, and weird, spooky, possibly supernatural stuff happens. I don't really know too much. I know hopefully that it's good. Hopefully. Then we have The Night Singer, which I think this might be a bit more on the literary side. I think I also got this at Second and Charles just as like a random buy. I think it's got some kind of mystery to it, but we'll check it out. I think it's on Scribd, or now it's called Everend. I'm probably always going to call it Scribd, but we have The Night Singer. I'll probably immersion read it, and we'll see what it's all about. And I also have The Flanders Panel by an author I'm not going to try to pronounce. I think this is maybe more of like a historical thriller, and it's got some, I think it's supposed to have some like interesting puzzle solving elements to it. I don't really know too much about it. It's got chess on the cover. Yeah, we'll see. And I think the last book I have to show y'all is The Bat by Joe Nesbo. And this has like the funniest like series titles I've ever heard. It's the first Harry Hole thriller. Who calls their character Harry Hole? I don't know, but it should be interesting. I think it's like an Icelandic thriller. So yeah, we'll check it out at some point. And then I'm just going to quickly double check that that's all of the unread thriller and horror books on my shelf. Wouldn't you know it, I did miss one because it was with a bunch of books that I had already read, but I have not read Slewfoot by Bram. This one will be interesting because two of his books are like all-time favorites, The Child Thief and Krampus. Love those books. And then I recently read Lost Gods, which was good, but not like an all-time favorite. I unhauled it already. It's 3.5 stars, so it'll be interesting to see if it's more like Lost Gods, where it's good but not great, or if it's like Krampus and The Child Thief, which are all-time favorites. Okay, if I'm not missing anything, I believe that is all of my unread thriller and horror books. And I would love to be able to get to most of these this year. I know I'm not going to be able to get to all of them, but the goal is to try to push my way through a lot of these and create more room for the shelves for Stacy, because she will be getting more books here eventually, and I want to, have room. The goal would eventually be for her to have her own shelf. She has these 3 shelves down here. One of them you can see, and then 2 of them are kind of down below there. But yeah, hopefully we can make room for her, and I can, plow through a lot of these thrillers. And, like I said, with thrillers and horror, like unless it's an all-time favorite, I'm probably going to unhaul them, because I really only try to keep books that I know I'm going to reread, unless it's like an author that I collect, like Stephen King. A lot of his books I probably won't reread, but like he's one of my favorite authors. Same thing with like Ray Bradbury and Brandon Sanderson. But with thrillers, if it's like one and done, I can easily get rid of it and then make more room on the shelves. So that's this video. Please leave down in the comments below if you've heard of any of these books, if you've read any of these books. Please let me know if they're worth my time. Which ones out of these would you recommend getting to right away because you think I'm going to like them? Which ones do you think I will like the most? Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I have my Bookish Drummer Discord you can check out. I have my Patreon page, and I have my Amazon wishlist. All links down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a fantastic day.